Welcome back to part 2 of our session about heaven. I'm going to finish reading the book I wrote for Jeremy that's called Hi Mom, I'm Home. And then I'm going to tell you some things about 2 other very special people. Ready? Let's go. I guess I better get back to my story. Well, first thing we did when we got in was to go to this big book. Jesus said he just needed for me to check something first. So he opened this book and he showed me something I could read. It was my name. Mom, this is a huge book. And my name was in it. I was so proud. It made me kind of want to cry. But not really, because nobody cries up here. He told me that your name's in there too. And lots of other people we love. But we didn't stay at this book too long because we had other things to do. Jesus stood me up in front of a mirror, and when I looked at myself, I couldn't believe it. I was all shiny. Wow! I remember when you told me that our bodies are just like houses we wear when we're on this earth. You said we have different colors on the roof and the doors, and some houses are really big and some are small. You said some are kind of like shacks and some are like mansions. But you said the part you liked the best was how they look on the inside, because that's where people put their personalities. And it's much more important than how they look on the outside. You told me that when someone dies, they leave their old house on the earth and they get a new house in heaven. Of course, now I know that's only if their name is in the big book. And you know something, Mom? You were so right. But here in heaven, it's kind of like people wear their inside on the outside. Well, people here are shiny. So shiny you really need sunglasses to look at some of them. And then other people are not really shiny at all. I guess they didn't get the right stuff on the inside of their houses while they were still on earth. I met this tall, shiny man who told me he's my Grandpa Jim. He said he'd been waiting to hold me ever since I was born. So I sat in his lap for a while and he told me stories about you when you were a little girl. He told me all kinds of stories, but he also said he had come here when you were still a little girl. So he didn't know anything really new. But he sure knew all about me. And then there was a shiny lady who said she's my Nana. I don't remember her because she was already in heaven when I was just 3 years old. But I sat in her lap too. She's really nice and soft, and she has the most beautiful big brown eyes, just like the picture on our piano at home. But the really shiny lady was a little tiny lady who said she's my great granny. She's your granny and my great granny. She came here just a few days after me. So I do remember her. She showed me something that looked a little bit like a picture. And she said that this is my Nana and my great granny and me when I was a little baby. We did lots of hugging. All 3 of them said they'd been watching and waiting for me. Mom, we're having such a good time, and everybody is here waiting for you. You're gonna love it here, Mom. We sing all the time, and they're all here. All those guys you told me about, Noah and Moses and Adam and Eve and Abraham and David, and even that little boy who gave Jesus his lunch. We all have the same job right now, spending time with Jesus and telling his daddy how wonderful he is, and waiting for all the rest of our family to get here. Sometimes Jesus looks like a lion, but I'm not afraid. Sometimes he looks like a little lamb, but I like it best when he's in his big chair next to his daddy. It's the shiniest gold I ever saw, and there's a rainbow all around it. It's prettier than any other rainbow because it's a whole circle. And they both put their feet on a big round ball, a round footstool. Can you imagine? What's really funny is my grandpa says that's the earth. That's where you are. Imagine that, because from up here it sure looks little. Something funny happens to my knees when I see Jesus and his daddy in their big chairs. I can't stand up. I look around and everybody else is bowing down too. I guess they have the same problem. I don't know what Jesus does all day, but I know he's really busy. Sometimes I see him whispering things to his daddy. What's wrong here? But when he sees me, he always smiles and winks at me, and I get all warm inside. I remember those cotton candy clouds and the trip we took to get here. I remember the games we played and the laughing and the giggling we did. Well, I really miss you, Mom, but don't worry. In just a minute or two, John says you'll be here too, and then I can show you all around. Oh, and don't worry too much that I didn't learn to read before I came. There's nothing to read up here anyway. But there is a school, and you wouldn't believe who's in it. Okay, John says this part's a surprise too, but I can tell you, it's a school for people that didn't go to Sunday school and learn their Bible stories when they were little. Mom, John says it's time to go now and do some singing. I love you, and I just want you to know I'm really okay. I'm home. Jeremy. This is a picture of Jeremy. He was about 3 years old then, and he was 6 when he went to heaven. Isn't that a great story? Heaven's not a scary place, not at all. So I wrote that story about Jeremy's trip to heaven from my sort of imagination and the things that I knew from the Bible and the things that I had studied and so forth. But not long after, well, no, I should say a long time after I wrote that, in 1978, 77, this book came out. And this book is called Heaven is for Real. You see the picture of the little guy on the front? Okay. Let me tell you what it says on the back. I'm sorry, but I have to have my glasses so I can read it to you. When Colton made it through an emergency operation, his family was overjoyed at his miraculous survival. What they weren't expecting, though, was the story that emerged in the months following, a story as beautiful as it was extraordinary, detailing their little boy's trip to heaven and back. Did he really die and go to heaven? No. But something happened during the surgery. Colton, not yet 4 years old, told his parents he left his body during the surgery, and then he authenticated, wow, what a big word that is, that claim by describing exactly what his parents were doing in another part of the hospital while he was being operated on. Well, that's a mystery. He talked of visiting heaven and all the stories that went along with it. Wow. Okay, this whole book is his story about when he went to heaven. Remember the picture that I showed you of Jesus? Let me see if I can find it while I'm talking. This was drawn by a little girl. I think she was 8 or 9 years old, this one. And when Colton, the little boy in this book, when his parents asked him what did Jesus look like, they started showing him pictures, all kinds of pictures from books and Bibles and movies, I guess. Is this what he looked like? No. Is this what he looked like? No. They showed him this, and he said, yes, that's the man. So I found this on the internet. When the girl who drew this picture, she was 8 years old when she drew this picture. Her name is Akian. And they asked her, what is heaven like? Listen what she said. In heaven, everything is simply beautiful and effortless. That means it doesn't take a lot of effort to do things. In heaven, colors are more intense, and many of them are not seen on earth. In heaven, the music is more beautiful. Nothing like music in our world. In heaven, plants, animals, and all beings speak not through words, but through color, vibrations, and thoughts. In Jeremy's story, they were all singing. Her understanding of heaven has expanded since she first encountered heaven through her visions and her dreams. Now that's a girl that's dreaming about heaven and seeing things maybe like in a dream. But listen to what the little boy said when they asked him. Now remember, he was just a little guy, 2 or 3 years old. What's heaven like? This is what Colton said. The city of heaven is made of something shiny, like gold or silver. The gates of heaven are made of gold with pearls. First I saw Jesus. He was wearing white robes with a purple sash. That's like a belt. Jesus has markers in his hands from nails used at the crucifixion. He's talking about a scar. He said markers, but he was a little boy. He didn't know that word. Heaven has a lot of colors, a lot of people, and a lot of animals. Hey, animals! There are more colors in heaven, and the flowers and trees are beautiful. In heaven, everyone is around 20 or 30 years old. I don't know if that's true, but Gigi hopes so. In heaven, everyone I saw had wings except Jesus. I don't know about that either. In heaven, it's always light. I love this part. Jesus is the light, and he lights it up. Wow. Heaven is not a scary place. Heaven is a wonderful, exciting place, and it's going to be so fun when we're all there, because then we won't have to get in a car, an airplane, a bus, a train, whatever, to go visit people that we love. We'll just be there like that. Won't that be wonderful? Forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. So the most important thing is to make sure you are going. And you know how you get there? You got to have Jesus in your heart. Let Gigi pray for you. Father God, I thank you for heaven. Wow, what a wonderful plan you've made for us. Thank you for creating a place that is so beautiful that we really can't even imagine it with our little bitty brains. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you for making a way for us to come to you in heaven. Thank you for teaching us and giving us stories and songs and Bible stories so we can learn more about you. Now you think about heaven this week and come back and see us. And remember, if you have any questions or want to write a comment, right below. Bye.